found yet another rat and another horrifying death, and it seems like we are being set up for a massive shootout. We're discussing all this and more on the Unbinged Podcast starting now. Welcome to the Unbinged Podcast, the show where we talk about all the movies and televisions that you love to binge. And for Task, it is me, Jagger May, and then with me, as always for this show, my two wonderful co-hosts, Matt Kaufhammer and Samantha Holt. We got a lot of big things to talk about. It seems like we have so much in only 5 episodes that every episode that we get feels like a finale. But before we get into it, Samantha, why don't you give us that spoiler warning?
This is your official spoiler warning for the 5th episode of Task. If you have not watched that episode, pause, go watch that and come back. And that way we can spoil it for you and you can enjoy the fun.
Motherfucker, guys. That motherfucker. I got to open it up. Sir Cunnilingus Cole, DJ Grassanova is the motherfucking leak. And let's put it this way, Koff, I'm actually gonna kick it to you first. Dude, you are becoming the theory king. like we should just let Koff spot up from anywhere, Steph Curry, and just throw it up because it's probably gonna go in here. Because like Grasso's a leak. We don't have confirmation that Kathleen is a leak or not. She still could be a snitch. She could not be. We don't know. Mm-hmm. So Koff, we'll give it to you here now. Was it that shocking? Are we just being dudes? Was it dudes being dudes? We're like, oh, it's not him. Look, he didn't sleep with her.
So I felt kind of dumb because I was on Grasso is the leak train from basically episode 2, I think, and then last episode they did just enough to misdirect us, oh, he's gonna be the guy that will feel bad when he dies, and he was being set up as a good guy. It's no, motherfucker, he is actually the leak. We should have stuck to our guns the entire time. We knew when he left Lizzie at the bar, when he had a wide open shot and he left because he had something more important to do. We should have known right then and there. But I still think, again, Kathleen is still in play. She could still be another level of leak where she is helping Grasso, or maybe she is completely on her own and we just have two separate leaks coming from both sides of the boat. But I think what really kind of gives her, makes me think it's her still, is when she was eating and Aaliyah's like, girl, your best friend is missing right now. We have no idea what's going on. And you're just chowing down it's no big deal. And then she gives I'm an emotional eater. It's I don't know. I feel like there's some guilty feelings going on there. But yeah, Grasso being the leak, I didn't feel bad. I felt dumb. I was I should have stuck to my guns with that one.
You nailed it. You felt dumb because as a dude, we both said, I was like, man, he was at the goal line. He said no. And then now
he dropped it at
right
the 1.
there as a guy. Yes, I was just what the fuck? Right there is just that was so glaring as a man. I knew it. And then I was just well, he didn't sleep with her. Now that I look back at it, that was guilt. He's just I'm going to fuck all you over. He's at least I will bang you first. And then when we do these bad things, we make these little mental gymnastics. And I know that's crude. So now this is a perfect segue to flip it over to Sam. It's as you say, the bar for men is the floor. Seems like floor. Homeboy. Did he leave the bar? I don't know.
The bar is the floor. I think somehow. Yes. When you guys kept banging the drum for that because he didn't sleep with Lizzie, there was something there. I was it doesn't make any sense. And then it kind of made sense with the excuse that he gave, but no, it all came back in this one where you're oh, he is the leak. And I was kind of fighting it because it felt kind of obvious. And I agree with you, Koff. The last episode, there was enough done that you're no, I think there still could be other people. But at the end of the day, I feel there's just clearly so much childhood built up in these characters, and that's clearly where the connection is. We got that little moment at the end of the episode where they did the unmasking, the actors talking about their character choices, and we do know that Grasso was childhood friends with Jayson, and this is their connection, and it makes sense, but I do feel a little bit duped. I didn't want to see it coming, but sometimes the thing that you expect guys to do, they're just gonna do it, and you just have to accept it. This is one of those moments. Recognize the red flags for what they are, and don't try to make excuses. Personal moment for myself. Don't endure the red flags just because, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Yeah. And let's say, let's just say what it is. He's not a duck. He's a fuck is what he is. Because it's just like straight up. I even said, I gave a whole profile. I'm like, yeah, man, single mom, grew up poor. He's like, he probably grew up with gang activity. Like literally I gave the whole profile of why it was him. And then it's set up in the other episode. I was like, man, 99.9% of guys would have slept with that woman by now. Yeah. Like Sam, you falling for it is one thing. Me and Koff, what are we doing, my boy? Like we fucked that one up. We
clocked it, and then we're like, well, maybe not. Yeah, it's too obvious, right? Especially because they did enough. They did enough to make it be like, well, maybe Lizzie's the leak because she brought the whole softball cuts and nicknames. It's like, well, there's just enough there. And then Aaliyah, I felt like we just sidelined completely because we're like, well, why would she be the informant at all? Which, it would be really funny in the next 2 episodes if they revealed that every single member of Task is a leak in some different way. That would be hilarious.
Yeah. That would take us from dark to comedy.
And I don't know if it's just a personal note here about the abuse that she received, it could just be character building, and I'm fine with that. But is there a little bit of motive? We don't even know who she dated at this point. And we know that these biker gangs are incredibly abusive. What if she slept with a white dude in that biker gang, beat the fuck out of her, and now this is a long-term play? Like I said, I'm just taking one out of Koff's book. I'm just shooting a 3 out there that could land. Yeah, I'm just taking a shot. Everyone's a leak. Everyone's a leak. And Sam, what you said the last episode about all roads, that everyone but Tom. Tom is the only one that's just man, I'm just a guy who came from church, likes a little sippy sip out of my Phillies cup and watch birds. Everyone else are just complete fucking crash outs and pieces of shit. And I mean that broadly. They're not they're just in a bad situation. I'm kind of just leaning into that. And I guess on to go back to Kathleen before we shift gears on here again, guys, we still don't know how far up this goes at this point, and it feels like multiple people are setting up a trap that's just gonna blow up on everyone's faces. Where we got the leak being cute, and then we have the Dominicans being cute. We have fucking out Robbie that we got a whole thing on. We're going to get to that. Koff, what are you at?
I actually rewatched the first 2 episodes this weekend. And one thing we haven't brought up yet is Kathleen in her first interaction with Tom talks about being forced to retire because of her age. I wonder if, did you say that? Okay. So that just another hit in the this could be her setting up a retirement plan for herself by being the leak and maybe cashing out before she gets forcibly retired. So there's definitely some credence in Kathleen being a potential leak. No, she's in her 50s.
Yeah, she's not old. Fucking Tom looks older than she is. A little wore out, him doing first forced retirement. I could see it, but Kathleen's got I feel some good years left, and they're already forcing her out, and maybe she even got caught. Yeah, maybe she got caught on some shit. You know how the FBI is. We know how governments are. We're just we need you to go away. We're not going to tell anybody about this. I think that's an option. I feel bad for Lizzie even worse because she's gone from what I'm assuming is a garbage person she kicked out, and now she accidentally found herself in a DJ Grasso Nova, and now it's just a lot of betrayal on that part. But since we did bring up Tom, we had an interesting interaction, 2 characters meeting up with Tom and Robbie, who have kind of been at least 2 main focal points of what's a 3-pronged thing between the biker gang, Robbie, and the FBI task force. And Tom kind of shows up, horrible fucking liar. Turns out priest, not good at lying. And then
surprisingly.
Even Robbie, the dumbest motherfucker on television, Robbie, clocks the lie here. And we see Robbie kind of have this Uncut Gems episode where he's working around all sides of this and setting up. Sam, I want to kick it to you, and I'm going to give you the hard question, which I think may have an easy answer. What is Robbie's plan?
That's a very hard question to answer. No, I don't think it's easy and clear cut because I don't think that Robbie's fully figured out what his plan is. I feel like he's just going one step in front of another. And we kind of saw that in the interaction with him and Tom in terms of how do I get rid of him? How do I get out of this? And it's just his first thing was, like you said, he clocked Tom's a bad liar, immediately got him. And I think that he didn't know what he was going to do with Tom until he started talking to him in the car and they were on the road and he got to know him in just the smallest increment. Even when they were driving off and driving down the road, as soon as they got off the freeway, he didn't get from Tom what he'd been through with that his wife had passed and that he just wanted to speak to his kids until he was about to get out of the car. So when he said, you know, are you going to kill me, Robbie? I think that he was at this point probably planning on killing him, and then changed his mind when he realized that this guy only wanted to talk to his kids because he doesn't have his wife anymore. And he's also probably someone that's hurting quite badly. And I feel like he had a moment of humanity in the car with him where he realized I need to just move forward from him because I need to go and solve my first problem, which is still getting rid of this fentanyl, and his additional problems of I don't know where my kids are, I don't know where Maeve is, and I don't know where Sam went. So at least I can get rid of the fentanyl. It's one foot in front of the other for Robbie in terms of trying to problem solve for himself. And I think that he didn't know what he was going to do with Tom until at the very end where they had that separation in the park.
It's a very interesting point there about the switch, because it really felt like I think we're saying we noticed the two different things that are both correctly. Because I was like, it felt like Tom was a priest again and Robbie was giving a confessional. He's just he's just talking things through. And like, you're right. He's like, he had zero fucking plan of what was going on. And he's just like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. And he's like, oh, you're just doing your job. You're not like bad. You're just like, it's like you said, he's just a guy. He's just a guy. Robbie's like, I'm just a guy. And again, Robbie isn't a bad dude. He's just an idiot. He's just fucking stupid. And he's a product of a bad environment, essentially. And I want to emphasize that. And then Robbie is still acting like that. He's just like, he's not a bad person, and he's stupid for letting Tom go. He probably should have killed Tom. Like, realistically, if he was a Dark Heart member, he's just like, hey, I need some lye real quick in a vat to put this body in, and he never did that. And he lets him kind of go in the woods. He's just like, all right, that's not a plan, you know? He's just like, let me go a mile this way. And then to circle back here to everything else, after we see the catch and release of Tom, everything before that, he sets up the Dominicans. He's like, I got fentanyl. You want it? We already know the Dark Hearts have clocked him. And then obviously him letting Tom go, we know that the FBI is going to clock him as well. And he already knows that there is a tracking signal in the FBI car. So cough to you. Is this the one time that he's moving with intention? And here's what it's at. He's like a kid who knows enough to kill himself. I'm saying that because I used to be that kid. I'm like, hey man, you know, like all these chemicals go boom, but I have zero plan to protect myself. You know, I just know that they will blow up. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. He feels very much when he's like, I don't want you to mess up my plan. I feel like kind of what you're saying, Sam, is he doesn't have a fully formed plan. He has a general idea of what he wants to happen. And I think what he wants to happen is bring every opposing force together. So the Dominicans, the Dark Hearts, and the Task Force all in the same spot. Hopefully they start shooting at each other, creates a big enough distraction that he can then, you know, run away like a little raccoon fuck and somehow get out of this pickle and get to Canada with his kids. I think that's his plan. It's not a good one. It's not fleshed out. He hasn't thought about all the exit strategies in the variables, but as far as like the beginnings of a plan, it's not terrible. I mean, if you get the Dark Hearts and the Dominicans in one spot, and then you get the task force in the other, in the same spot, you can essentially start a Mexican standoff who potentially one side's going to start a firefight. And in that confusion, you can potentially slip away. So as far as that being a plan, not terrible, but I don't think he has thought it through. And I think at this point, especially the way he reacted after Cliff's death, I think he's accepted that he's going to die at the end. And he's coming to grips with that. And I think that's one of the main reasons he did not kill Tom, was because he doesn't want to go into his own final moments with that guilt hanging over his own head. So I think he let Tom go to kind of cleanse his own conscience, and now he can go into the situation knowing he's probably going to die and be okay with
it. The entire interaction with Robbie and Tom was really well done. And I think that something that you said, Jagger, in terms of it being a confessional, I didn't see that side of it until you literally said the words, and of like, you know, Robbie's the one that's saying all of these things, and he is, you know, confessing, and Tom is asking, you know, the prying questions in terms of, you know, you don't have to do this, you don't know how, like, and it's the back and forth. It's really interesting the way that it's set up, because obviously Tom has wanted to leave the church and he's left that behind and he's focused on everything else, but clearly he is still very skilled, because half of this felt like a hostage standoff of a negotiation where it wasn't necessarily that Tom was even fighting for his own freedom to be let go, but he was really fighting for Robbie's, in the sense of like, you don't have to do this, you don't have to make these choices, there's still a way out for you. He was really,
you can go home.
Kind of, he was saying you can go home, and the way he was talking him down was a lot like a situation where someone's standing on a ledge and you have someone trying to get them to come off of the ledge. It really wasn't, you know, don't kill me, don't hurt my family. It was, you don't have to hurt yourself, you don't have to hurt those around you. It was really interesting the way that they set it all up, because, you know, he's trying to show Robbie he has these other options, but Robbie can't see outside of one foot in front of the other on how to solve these main problems in terms of the big picture. And Tom kept trying to paint that for him, and he wasn't seeing it, but what he was seeing was that Tom's a good guy and he didn't want to put him in that situation. And to your point, Coffee didn't want to have that hanging over his head as he's coming to terms with the fact that he is going to die, or that is the biggest possible ending for him, is that he is going to be passing. And maybe the firefight is just a goal of, if I'm going down, I'm going to take as many people down with me as I can, because he does still want to bring down this biker gang. And so creating this standoff situation is, how many bikers can I take down with me at the exact same time?
Ooh, and good point, Sam. Sorry, I just want to get this in. So at one point in their conversation, Robbie tells Tom, like, Jayson beat my brother to death. So I wonder if part of Robbie's plan is, even if he dies and even if somehow Jayson survives the firefight, if by giving that information to the FBI, it'll lead to an opening of a new investigation, or an investigation at all, that could potentially take down the Dark Hearts, even if they survive this firefight. So I wonder if that's part of Robbie's plan.
Like, at the end of the day, his goal was to fuck over and hurt. Like, yes, helping his family, but he's beyond that at this point. Like, there's no way that money's going to get back to Maeve or the kids or anything like that. But at least he can get his revenge. And it is like, we all knew this. Episode 1, we're like, there's no way he makes this out alive. Episode 2, we're like, he ain't getting out. And to me, every character has come to that realization. You know, like, Robbie's going to die. Tom knows that. The Dark Heart knows that. Tom knows that. Maeve knows that. The only one who doesn't know that is, like, his one youngest son. Even his daughter is just like, I don't think Daddy's going to make it to the dance. You know, it's just everything is just kind of written on the wall for him. So he's trying to make as much lemonade with the amount of lemons that he has as possible. And this is a little bit of a curveball here, but we kind of didn't talk about Maeve at all, because she's the only one who that was Tom's way out at the beginning. I fucked up. I gotta go to the police. You know, that was his only way out, is to pray that he can survive prison or something, or some type of witness protection to get it out. And Maeve finally does that. I'm going to take the kids. I am going to turn in Sam and basically not ask for a lawyer, not fuck around, and just get this done here. You think this saves her, Koff?
I want to say yes, just because I hope everything works out for Maeve. But again, she interviewed with Kathleen. And if Kathleen is the leak, then I don't think Maeve is safe at this point, even turning Sam in. And especially, I know she's trying to do the right thing, quote unquote, but like not asking for a lawyer or not waiting for a lawyer before you start talking to the cops is always a bad idea.
It's fucking horrible.
Because
it's
you
a
need
terrible
an
idea.
you need an advocate on your side to make sure that everything is in the up and up, because it's too easy for, especially if there's a crooked cop in the room, for things to turn sideways for you if you don't have that advocate. So this is a PSA for everyone watching. If you are ever questioned by the cops, arrested by the cops, or anything, ask for a lawyer. That is your constitutional right, and you should take it, because things can go wrong too quickly if you don't have that.
Listen to the white man, guys. That's like a rare occasion where I'd say this, but like 100% true on that, because there's multiple reasons beyond Kathleen being a leak why you shouldn't trust her. It is their job to close cases. Key fact, close cases. I didn't say solve cases. I said to close them.
Close and
so they're
conviction rate. Yep.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. They want to give the like Obama speech and then talk to the press, get that accolade. She's like, well, maybe I can keep my job or whatever. I don't know.
So I think my only thought in terms of Maeve not totally being screwed and getting put in prison, because, you know, at the end of the day, somebody's got to go to jail for this kid being missing, is that Tom was in this full-on confessional with Robbie, and he has all of this from him saying, this wasn't her, this is all me, and all these things. So I feel like because Tom's such a good advocate and he is such a strong character, Kathleen won't be able to sweep this under the rug unless Tom dies at the end of all of this. And then she's able to pin these things on Maeve, because so many people have died. You still need to pin it on somebody to get some level of justification and justice for those. If Tom survives this, I don't think that Maeve ends up in jail. I feel like there is a level of restitution here of like, so many things go wrong. And so many of these, you know, now Robbie's kids don't have anywhere to go. I don't know that Sam is going to end up somewhere that he needs to be. I feel like there's going to be, if this is leading up to the big shootout that we're expecting, there's going to be enough blood on everyone's hands that at the end of it, of this girl trying to do the right thing, she's not going to be seeing massive jail time. I just feel like there's got to be some level of that with Tom being the savior that he is for so many in this entire season, that he's going to do something for Maeve as well.
Yeah, because like it all comes back down to his little confession in the car, where he's just like, she's just a victim doing her best. Like, yeah. So that is the objective truth to that. And then I want to give like the Dark Hearts a little bit of credit. What motive do they have to kill Maeve? Because Perry was right there, you know, and like obviously she was hiding Sam. That's the one knock, you know.
Yeah.
But like, what did she actually fucking do to these people besides be born? You know,
and like, protect him. She was protecting Sam from everything. She was trying to, you know, make things normal for him. She wasn't trying to continue to scare him. She was doing everything in her power to keep him from being scared, because he wasn't around his family. He wasn't around anyone that he knew. But he also, at the end there, he was like, do I have to go? Because he was enjoying being with Maeve, because she was probably giving him much more focused attention than he's had his entire life. Because we've covered this quite a bit, and every single episode it feels like that this kid is just coming from such a broken home that even just seeing this amount of love from Maeve is more than he's seen, you know, in his poor little lifetime. Yeah.
Like 8 years is not a lot of time at all. Like, no. Especially, it's a fuck ton of time for kids, but like relatively to us as adults, it's not a lot of time, you know?
Yeah, I was 38 years ago.
Yeah.
That was not that long ago.
So unfortunately, when it comes to criminal organizations like the motorcycle gang, I think they're more shoot first, ask questions later. So I feel like just Maeve being implicated in the situation's enough for them to take her out. So, which is unfortunate because, again, you're right. She is the victim in this situation. Robbie dumped this problem at her literal doorstep. It's her fucking house, and he brought this shit to her home. So she's doing the best she can to clean all this shit up that Robbie left for her. But at the end of the day, somebody like Perry or Jayson is not going to see that and be like, oh, poor girl. They're going to be like, you were a part of it. Bang. Now you're not. Sweep it under the rug and move on. Especially when you have the embarrassment of how many trap houses did they actually hit? Like a dozen? If they hit like if it was one or two, I could see them be like, oh, okay, she was. But a dozen houses, if there's any question in their minds that Maeve may have been a part of it, Maeve is a target.
I think that my one thought that I just had was like, the other good thing with Maeve going to the police exactly the way that she did, because she is, I agree with you, Koff, I do feel like she is another target, is we talked about witness protection. Amazing candidate, Maeve and Robbie's kids and all of them for being put into witness protection, because clearly with her dad passing the way that he did and with Robbie and all of this situation, there's going to be too many loose ends. There's so many loose ends. I feel like the last episode being all roads lead to, everything leads to back to this gang. And I think that the one thing that Tom can do to save them from this is to put them into witness protection and to remove them from the entire situation to protect them. I feel like that could be another ending that we see, is that Maeve and Robbie's kids get put into witness protection because there is such a firefight that loose ends are still there. And there's still some level of, bounty on Maeve's head or some level of restitution from this family after everything happens. Because maybe, like to your point, Koff, maybe Robbie does get away and the Dark Hearts are still wanting some level of justice for themselves, and so they're going to be targeting Maeve next. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I get maybe I'm just too naive on there, because like even in gangs and criminals, women and children are like, there's rules to it, and I think that there's just that level of innocence, but maybe there are too many loose ends, because like there's loose ends and like this shit is just untied. Everyone knows everything. There's like, we're past the point of secrets. So like killing Maeve does nothing for you. Like the FBI knows, everyone knows. You literally have to kill everyone, which is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible that they would just literally kill everyone. I'm talking the task force, Tom, everybody. Like that shit has happened before. Like it's not out of the ordinary. It's just rare. Well, we got some other stuff to discuss here. It's particularly, we've got the Dominicans. We briefly hit on Perry and Aaron, and we got to talk about Tom's fucked up family situation. But before we go, I just want to tell you guys, there's a number of ways that you can watch us. We're on Spotify, Apple, of course on YouTube. So if you want more content like this, make sure to hit the like and subscribe. And especially if you're on our audio side, leaving us reviews helps. And especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, we have a giveaway going on right now where give us our best theory, or give us your best theory, and leave that in your review. And we are going to give away a $200 gift card to Amazon to what we think our best theory is. So especially if you're going to be watching these other shows with us, there are several opportunities for you to get on that action. We got our Peacemaker finale, me and Koff are on that. Gen V, Landman, Welcome to Derry. So especially all you people who are watching Task, we're going to hop right into it as soon as Task ends. Stranger Things, Fallout's popping up. We even have The Pit, again, for all you HBO people. So again, as always, stick with us. Hit the like, subscribe, or follow us on Spotify. Download everything on Apple Pod. Do everything that any influencer's ever told you to. Done paying bills. Now we're going to go to the Dominicans, guys. There's so much happening here. I want to open it up here.
There's too many things happening to keep track.
Yes, like Sam, hold it up to the camera here. Let's see your Pepe Sylvia.
It's my Pepe Sylvia trying to track like who's the leak, who's dead now. I had to update this with like red ink. Okay, she's dead now. This is happening. Now this is the leak. It's too much.
And with the Dominicans, like I wish you guys could see our show sheet. I literally just wrote down Dominicans ? Because if I'm the leader, I'm just like, why is this my problem, guys? Like, figure it out. When you are done dying, I'll talk to whoever's left. That's where I'm at with them. Yeah. So I'd be so pissed to get invited to that party. You're just like, what the fuck is this? Because like they were being invited to the FBI, the dark arts, whatever the fuck Robbie is. You know, it's where. Let's just start from what is Robbie's purpose with them besides just being another chemical in this whatever bomb that he's trying to create. And then I want to ask, like, we kind of already brought this up. The show is like, who's a leak? You know, it's like whack-a-mole leaks. Is Aaliyah doing anything for the Dominicans? Like, they seem like a very as smart as an organization as anyone around there. And they actually run drugs in Pittsburgh. They actually talk down to the bikers. You know, they're like, you guys are these rat fucks, these raccoon fucks who live in the trees. I'm out in the streets in here, you know. What is the fallout for them? Do we expect a lot of gunfire, or are they just got to show up and be like, oh, awkward. Sorry, FBI. I'm just going to roll them up and back up out of here.
I mean, there's only what, 5 FBI agents, so I feel like they're the ones. The task force right now is they're getting the short end of the stick, because if it turns into a firefight, you've got like 10 dark hearts, however many Dominicans roll up, and then 5 task members. One of which is Tom, who knows the last time he actually fired his weapon, and Lizzie, who freezes when shit goes down. So really, how good of a task force are they in a firefight? The second thing is, I wonder if, besides having another component to help stir the pot and make everybody like go to shit when it goes down, but I wonder if Robbie is banking on the Dominicans bringing the cash, and in the confusion, Robbie can go steal the cash and then get out that way. So I wonder if that's part of his magnificent plan in his head, is he's going to let them all distract each other, somehow find the guy with the bag of cash, hold the gun up to him, be like, give me the cash, and then dip. It's not going to go well for him, I don't think, but I wonder if that is his end goal. Because why else would you go to first of all, he went to the Dominicans in person, which is a huge risk, because who's to say they don't just take you right then and there and then like drop you at the biker's doorstep, or kill them themselves. So him going to the Dominicans has to be for a reason. He has to have some sort of end goal in mind, and I it's got to be the cash. It has to be, because why else would you do that?
Maybe firepower, but other than that, yeah.
I mean, I think that's a great point. Why involve them if they want nothing else than to be like a part of the firefight? I feel like it's a little bit asking a lot of Robbie's brilliant planning to say that he's trying to strike the match on this clearly brewing chaotic scene that he's created, to then think that he's also like, and when everything's going to shit, I will grab the cash and go, like a cartoon character. Like, I don't think that he's even thought of that. I think that honestly, his goal is just to take down everyone that he possibly can, because he's so resentful of what the biker gang and what all of this criminal activity has done to him and his family. Because at the beginning of this, it all started with, you know, him wanting to cause chaos and to break into these gangs and to get back at them for killing his brother. All of this is vengeance for that initial death. And I think that the plus side is the money. I don't think that their goal was ever to get involved in drugs and additional criminal activity. I think it was kind of a Robin Hood level mentality of, but stealing from the criminals to then better themselves. Because I don't feel like Robbie even, I feel like he hates these gangs. Yes. And I feel like there's a deep level of hate here for them. And I don't think it's necessarily that he's looking for anyone to save him but himself, if he can even save himself. I think he just wants to light a match to all of the gang activity because he's so sick of what it's done that he wants to watch all of it go down in flames. And I don't actually think that he's even planning on trying to get away from this, because he has that moment at the creek where goes back to that flashback moment where he's putting the water on his shoulders and he's trying to cleanse himself after having just had that confessional with Tom. I feel like he's just setting himself up ready to die. He's not ready to even go further, and besides literally die in the middle of this gun firefight where I don't know what we're going to see in the next episode. If it's going to be Tom with a gun at Robbie, you know, you've got the biker gangs with guns at Robbie, and then you've got the Dominicans with guns pointed at Robbie, and he's just standing in the middle like, bring it on, because he just wants to see them all shoot each other. Not entirely sure.
Yeah,
It's
I
interesting
agree
to
that.
note that the last character we saw do the acclamation thing was Peaches right before he got his head blown off. So wonder what that's saying.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say is like Robbie thinking things through. I don't think that's his plan. Like I just don't see like a big firefight and then Robbie's like working his way around the scene like I got the fentanyl and the cash. Then he's got to sit down and look at his work with a cigar like Hannibal fucking Smith from A-Team. It's just like, yeah, I love it when a plan comes together. I just like don't see that happening, you know? Like it's like if anything it's just like we have a lot of guns, a lot of pissed off people don't like each other. Let's hope most of us die. You know, that's just where we're at. And I know that's terrible. So let's work our way towards these tertiary characters here. That it's like, it feels like a lot of stuff happened to like nothing. Aaron finally got killed off by Perry here. And I think this is important because Jayson is obviously emotional about his wife. Homie's gonna die, ain't he? Like it just feels like because Perry doesn't even tell him. He's just like, yeah, you know, like took a tumble in some water. I don't even know what his excuse was. It was fucking terrible.
Yeah. I'm old and I fell out of the shower. Like, no, you're not that old. You just murdered somebody.
Yeah.
Why? You're a fucking motorcycle gang. Like, I had to dump my bike.
Yeah.
Like, how hard is it to be like, I
had
to dump my bike? A deer crossed the road. I had to dump my bike. Like, it's not that hard. But Perry's a fucking idiot too. You could tell that Perry did not have the intention to kill her in the. Yes, of course. But he didn't have the intention to kill Aaron. It was more out of frustration and like trying to shut her up so that way the people on the cliff didn't find out what was going on. But again, like you still killed her. And now it almost, the way he reacted seems like he's never killed someone before, or he's never killed someone that close to him before. Because he was having a woman crash out in the mirror. Yeah. Possibly. Yeah. It was a weird.
That's why I said there's rules.
It was just a
Women,
strange. I guess, but it's just, to me, it was a strange reaction from Perry because of where he stands in the organization. That to me confused me a little bit. Maybe it is because of how close he is with Jayson, and he feels tremendous guilt over killing Jason's wife and having to possibly confront that. But if Jayson finds out before Perry has a chance to like let him down easy, then I think it's going to be Jayson and Perry standoff either next episode or the episode afterwards.
Yeah, and my thing is like, I guess we do have room for this to happen because there's 2 episodes, but it just doesn't feel like it. Like, is it going to be in the middle of the firefight where he's just like, I got to confess to you, man, I killed Aaron. Like, I just like, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I do know that it's a problem.
We don't know who's going to find Aaron's body. That's the thing. He kind of left her ass in the quarry, and then he sent Donna to go after, like, check on the kids. So as soon as the body is found, what DNA evidence is like left behind that Perry forgot about?
She clawed the shit out of him. That is all over. Whether or not that's
all of her fingernails.
She's in the water. Like, there is a level of evidence that is out there that is going to be very clear that he killed Aaron. And I actually think that in the firefight, Perry's going to get wise to some friendly fire and get rid of Jayson himself, so he doesn't have to confront the situation.
That is the smart way to do it, as the way to go. And now to the other side on the conflicts. We're just going to end on this one because I just have to talk about it. Sarah and Emily. Sarah, as soon as she tries to gets redeemable, she has to end on a little shitty It's just I would never say, and I don't mean this like violence against women. I mean, gender on gender violence, meaning like sometimes another man needs to hit another man in the face. Like Emily needs to slap the shit out of her sister. Just a little bit. Just one good one. Just one little bitty one. Just just like, you need to come to, sorry you're getting a divorce. Sorry you dated a shitbag. Don't date lawyers. Like, I don't know. There's just like a number of reasons why she can't act. Huh? Yeah. Married a lawyer. Married him. Sorry your husband sucked. Like, it's just, there's a lot happening there. And I will say, when all this is done, I would think that like Tom's problems were going to come out in the middle of like a firefight. What are we going to get from this? What is the point in this is what I'm going to ask here. And Sam, I'm going to give it to you because you're the more emotionally mature one. What happens to Tom? Like, does he solve this clusterfuck out of a case? He's like, oh, I'm just going to go back to my birds and 2 daughters who love each other. Well, what is the end game for these people, and how do they come back, and do they come back after these 2 episodes?
Well, we haven't gotten to, it's a part of my crazy mayhem. What we haven't actually gotten to is, are we going to even see this sentencing trial happen with his son? Because so much is leading up to this firefight. I've almost forgotten that, you know, everyone else up until this point before Tom went and got kidnapped by Robbie was everything's building towards this day where they have their time in court where Emily may or may not be advocating for her brother. Maybe that is kind of the final episode that we get after whatever happens. And it's more of a resolution episode, kind of like how we talked about before the show, that Mare of Easttown, the last one, is a bit more of, you know, connecting all of the broken threads. And it's kind of the aftermath. And knowing that, you know, Tom is always present after a crisis, that might be what the last episode is how does he solve after a crisis has happened? And this is about Tom putting his life back together as well as everyone else's and taking care of everybody, probably except himself, after all of the craziness happens. I do feel like we're going to end up getting some level of that resolution. And what I do think ended up happening, even I agree with you, what Sarah said was terrible. I think what they had was a moment of, you know, mutual understanding of Sarah's coming from Emily seeing Sarah's life isn't perfect. I think she needed to hear that. I think she needed to hear some level of, well, she's got so much of this guilt and these feelings of her childhood and everything of all this regret and questioning everything. And then to see, you know, on the other side, Sarah doesn't have it all figured out. It's not all solved on her end either. That has to give her some level of peace that, you know, things are they're never perfect for anybody. But then for Sarah to also admit and hear she doesn't want Emily to have these feelings, I think was really important, powerful for them to have together. And they were only going to have that moment with Tom being potentially removed from their lives. And I think if they had that realization of like, he is missing, something bad could happen to him, and then we are the only ones left for each other, how do we continue to stay a unit? And it was a moment of them saying, if everything went wrong, we would still be there for each other. Sarah's still not perfect. I'm not agreeing that what she said was great. She's still going to be, she's just that family member that's like, you know, everyone's going to give compliments and then someone's going to be like, yeah, but that skirt doesn't really fit you great. Like, she's always going to be that person that's going to say something negative. Right. And you just accept that as someone that in your family doesn't say things perfect all the time, but they're still going to be there for each other.
Sam, you're the smart one, so we're just going to end it right there. That's why we talk about emotional maturity to you. We're all the dum-dums here. As always, guys, that'll do it for us. Hit the like and subscribe button. If you're on our audio side, there is a number of ways for you could help us. Like I said, we got that contest. If you're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you can leave comments as well. Give us your opinion. We love to hear from you. As always, I'm Jagger May. That's Matt Kaufhammer. That is Samantha Holt. We love you, and we'll see you next time.